There is no denying that superhero movies are extremely popular these days, with nearly every major studio now working to turn its own comic book properties into the next big thing, and with Marvel Studios and Warner Bros. Plotting out half a decade's worth of material, it's sometimes hard to keep a track of what's coming out when, who's in it, and how it fits into the overall picture. Not to worry though, cause I got you covered. Although the release dates might change for some of these, here is a list of all the upcoming superhero movies that have been announced. Wonder Woman 1984. 2017's Wonder Woman was a massive box office hit with very positive reviews, so anticipation is very high for this one. Patty Jenkins returns to direct a story that takes place in the year 1984 against the backdrop of the Cold War, with Gal Gadot starring as Wonder Woman, Kristen Wiig playing the villain Cheetah, and Chris Pine reprising his role as Steve Trevor. The film was originally scheduled to be released on June 5, 2020, but was pushed back due to COVID-19 shutdown. It will now be released on August 14, 2020. The New Mutants. Writer-director Josh Boone had been attached to direct The New Mutants for a while, but 20th Century Fox finally moved this thing into production after the success of Deadpool and Logan. The film is more horror-driven X-Men story revolving around a group of much younger mutants in the X-Men universe than the adults from the proper X-Men movies. The story will also ditch traditional superhero costumes and supervillains in favor of telling a story about these young mutants locked up together in some secret facility fighting to save themselves. It stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Macy Williams, Alice Braga, Blue Hunt, Henry Saga, and Charlie Heaton. It was scheduled to come out on April 3rd but was delayed due to movie theater closures during the COVID-19 outbreak. The film will now be released on August 28, 2020. Black Widow. A standalone Black Widow movie has long been requested by fans, and Marvel Studios finally pulled the trigger, locking in this past-set standalone movie as the first film of the MCU's Phase 4. Scarlett Johansson handpicked indie filmmaker Kate Shortland to direct after an exhaustive search. Johansson told fans that she hopes the film gives audiences closure. Along with Johansson as Black Widow, the film also stars Florence Pugh, who plays Yelena, who comics fans know as a character who eventually takes on the mantle of Black Widow, while David Harbour plays Red Guardian, the USSR equivalent of Captain America. Filling in parts of Natasha Romanoff's backstory, the movie takes place after the events of Captain America: Civil War. The film will be released on November 6, 2020. The Eternals. Based on a comic book series created by Jack Kirby, The Eternals revolves around a group of superpowered and nearly immortal godlike beings. Marvel enlisted acclaimed director Chloe Zhao to take the helm and features a stacked cast anchored by none other than Angelina Jolie. Not only is the movie expected to feature an openly gay superhero character, but Lauren Ridloff is playing the first deaf superhero in the MCU. It will be released on February 12, 2021. Morbius. Sony's next Marvel Comics adaptation after Venom, Morbius is technically a Spider-Man spin-off. This movie sees Jared Leto play Dr. Michael Morbius, a scientist who through an experiment gone bad basically becomes a vampire. The film will be directed by Daniel Espinosa and released on March 19, 2021. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. With Shang-Chi, Marvel is looking to produce its first superhero movie with an Asian lead. The film is based on a comics character created in the early 70s by writer Steve Englehart and artist Jim Starlin. Marvel intends to fill out the ensemble with a mostly Asian cast, looking towards Black Panther as a template for how this kind of movie should be put together. The film will be directed by Destin Daniel Cretton and will introduce MCU's real Mandarin to be played by Tony Leung, following the fake-out of the character in Iron Man 3. It will be released on May 7, 2021. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Another Spider-Man spin-off, Venom 2, sees Tom Hardy return as Eddie Brock, this time squaring off against Woody Harrelson's Carnage. Critics were not kind to the original 2018 comic book tentpole starring Tom Hardy as the notorious Spider-Man villain, but that didn't stop it from being a worldwide smash hit with just over $850 million at the box office. The film is being directed by Andy Serkis and also stars Michelle Williams, Reed Scott, and Naomi Harris. The film was originally scheduled to be released on October 2nd, 2020, but was pushed due to COVID-19 shutdown. The film will now be released on June 25th, 2021. The Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad is rumored to be more of a reboot than a sequel. It's unclear exactly how many of the original cast members from the first film will return. Will Smith has already confirmed he's out, but Margot Robbie, Jai Courtney, Viola Davis, and Joel Kinnaman are expected to return, and Idris Elba is signed on to play a new character. Additionally, David Dastmalchian is Polka Dot Man, Daniela Melchior is Ratcatcher, John Cena is Peacemaker, Steve Agee is voicing King Shark, and Nathan Fillion and Taika Waititi are playing undisclosed roles. It will be directed by James Gunn and will be released on August 6th, 2021. The Batman. This one has been a long time coming. After over 2 years of rumors as to whether Ben Affleck would or would not star as Batman, Warner Bros. Has finally confirmed that he'll be moving aside and making way for a new Caped Crusader. Robert Pattinson will now star as a younger Batman with Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman and Jeffrey Wright cast as Commissioner Gordon. Paul Dano will portray the Riddler, and Colin Farrell subsequently signed on to play the Penguin. The film will also be honing in on the detective aspect of the Batman comics that hasn't been fully explored in the films. The movie will be released on October 1st, 2021. Spider-Man. Sony and Marvel have agreed to another Spider-Man movie starring Tom Holland, who will also appear in one more unnamed MCU film. Zendaya has also been confirmed to return for this sequel. Producer Kevin Feige stated that the third film would feature a Peter Parker story that has never been done before on film due to Far From Home's mid-credits scene. Writers Chris McKenna and Eric Summers are reportedly returning to pen the screenplay, and Homecoming and Far From Home's director John Watts is back in the director's chair. The film will be released on November 5th, 2021. Black Adam. This project first surfaced years ago when Warner Bros. Secured Dwayne Johnson to play Shazam villain Black Adam. The idea was for Johnson to star in the Shazam movie, but in the spring of 2017, Johnson revealed that they had decided to make two separate movies, one for Shazam and one for his anti-hero Black Adam. Johnson will lead the latter while Shazam moved forward separately and became a success. This one's been in development for a long time, but movement is starting to occur as Warner Bros. Set writer Adam Stickle to write the screenplay. Most recently, the film finally found a director in Jaume Collet-Serra, with whom Johnson worked on Disney's Jungle Cruise movie. The film will be released on December 22nd, 2021. Thor: Love and Thunder. Marvel signed Thor runner-up filmmaker Taika Waititi to return to write and direct Thor 4 in July 2019. But at Comic-Con a few weeks later, Marvel broke the big news. The film will feature the return of Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, who becomes the MCU's first female Thor, or Goddess of Thunder. She'll co-star opposite Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, who was deemed King of Asgard at the end of Avengers Endgame. In January 2020, Christian Bale entered talks to join the cast as the villain. The movie will be released on February 11, 2022. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. While 2016's Doctor Strange was intended to start a new franchise, the follow-up was put on hold so Benedict Cumberbatch's character could take a key role in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Producer Scott Derrickson described the sequel as the first scary MCU film, and it will co-star Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch. In January 2020, Marvel subsequently entered negotiations with filmmaker Sam Raimi to take on directing duties. The film will be released on March 25, 2022. Black Panther 2. Director Ryan Coogler is coming back to write and direct Black Panther 2, and Chadwick Boseman will obviously be returning in the title role. Letitia Wright, Danai Gurira, and Martin Freeman will reprise their roles in the film as well. Coogler and Marvel are taking their time on this one, which is wise considering the first Black Panther became the first superhero movie ever nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. The pressure is on, and the film will be released on May 6, 2022. The Flash. He is not the first member of the Justice League to get his own movie, but The Flash is never last across the finish line. After some conflicts in development, The Flash is finally marked and set for the screen under the direction of It and It 2 director Andres Muschietti. Ezra Miller will star as hero Brady Miller alongside Kiersey Clemens, Billy Crudup, and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. The Flash will be released on June 3, 2022. Captain Marvel 2. Chances are we were always going to get another Captain Marvel movie, but the fact that the original made over $1 billion worldwide made that a dead certain. It's reported that the sequel will take place in the present day, which we can assume will be the present day of the current MCU, after the events of Avengers Endgame and its 5-year time jump that means 2023. Marvel fans only have a couple of years to wait for the return of Brie Larson's superhero, which will be released on July 8, 2022. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2. If there is one rule of comic book movies, is that you can never have too much Spider-Man. Sony officially scheduled the sequel to its Oscar-winning Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse for an October 7, 2022 release date last fall, but it's reportedly been in development since as far back as November 2018. Joaquin Dos Santos will direct this one, and Phil Lord and Chris Miller are returning as producers. Fans have been speculating about this movie ever since the first teaser appeared to drop some subtle hints. Released in November 2019, the short clip featured a series of flashing spider logos that seemingly represent new characters, including Japanese Spider-Man and Mr. Negative. Shazam 2. Much of the details of Shazam 2 are still fairly under wraps. After the success of the first Shazam, Warner Bros. Hired writer Henry Gedden to work on Shazam 2. Director David Sandberg is expected to return, but he has not yet officially signed on. Leading man Zachary Levi is set to return, while rumors are that Henry Cavill will return as Superman. Word on the street has it that there will also be an appearance from Dwayne Johnson. The film will be released on November 4th, 2022. Aquaman 2. When Aquaman hit theaters in December 2018, it became the highest grossing film of the DCEU thus far, topping out at over $1.1 billion. With that in mind, Warner Bros. Said about getting the wheels in motion on a sequel, though director James Wan cautioned that he wouldn't move forward on it until the script was right. The studio has now set December 16, 2022 release date to give the film enough time to develop. Jason Momoa will return as Aquaman, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen will reprise his role as Black Manta. James Wan hasn't committed to directing Aquaman 2 just yet, but this one is no doubt a priority for Warner Bros. Given the popularity of the first movie. Batgirl. Warner Bros. Pulled Joss Whedon over from Marvel to write and direct a Batgirl movie. He spent a year working on the script, but in February 2018, Whedon announced he was leaving the project because he couldn't come up with a story. All signs indicate Warner Bros. Will now be looking for a female filmmaker to bring Batgirl to fruition. There is no casting or release date to report yet. Green Lantern Corps. This will be a reboot of the Warner Bros. Franchise, so Ryan Reynolds is not expected to reprise his role. Also, the title of the reboot tells us this will be a team-up film featuring more than one Green Lantern. In June 2018, it was announced that Geoff Johns will be writing the script. There is no casting or release date to report yet. Justice League Dark. Release date to be announced. Blade 4. Release date to be announced. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Release date to be announced. Fantastic Four. Release date to be announced. Ant-Man 3. Release date to be announced. Harbinger. Release date to be announced. Night Wolf, release date to be announced. Shadow Man, release date to be announced. Archer and Armstrong, release date to be announced. Eternal Warrior, release date to be announced. The Green Hornet and Kato, release date to be announced. The Great Machine, release date to be announced. The Max, release date to be announced. Madam Web, release date to be announced. We Can Be Heroes, release date to be announced. Laura, release date to be announced. Deathstroke, release date to be announced. Deadpool 3, release date to be announced. Spawn, release date to be announced. Doctor Doom, release date to be announced. Wonder Woman 3, release date to be announced. Supergirl, release date to be announced. Young Avengers, release date to be announced. Kraven the Hunter, release date to be announced. Jackpot, release date to be announced. XO Manowar, release date to be announced. Huck, release date to be announced. Silk, release date to be announced. Faith, release date to be announced. New Gods, release date to be announced. Red Sonja, release date to be announced. Nemesis, release date to be announced. Man of Steel 2, release date to be announced. Booster Gold, release date to be announced. Night Watch, release date to be announced. X-Force, release date to be announced. Nightwing, release date to be announced. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.